All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us started here. Good morning, everyone. My name is Erica Pei. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a reservations coordinator at Berkeley Event Services here at the UC Berkeley campus, and I am your moderator for today's session. I have the pleasure of welcoming everyone to Accessible and Assistive Technologies for All, presented by Julie Ha. Julie Ha serves as the Auxiliary Services Lead for the Disabled Students Program at UC Berkeley, where she prioritizes equity and inclusivity. She manages recruitment, training, and assignment of volunteer note takers, ensuring accommodations for a diverse student body. Her role includes scheduling, task delegation, conducting one-on-one meetings with students, collaborating with specialists, and providing continuous team support. Julie utilizes AIM and audio note-taking software to enhance accessibility. She's excited about working with different units to leverage technology for disability empowerment and AI advancements, driving positive change for both staff and students, both within the university and beyond. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much, Eric. Yes, I'm Julie, and today I'm going to be presenting on accessible and assistive technologies. So this is going to be our agenda for today. We're going to go over what is accessible and assistive technology. Then I'm going to talk about the universal design learning principles. And then I'm going to show you the captioning feature on Zoom. And after that, we're going to check out these three operating systems. And after that, we're going to look at these three programs. So thank you for being here today. And we're going to start off by asking the question, what is accessible and assistive technology, right? And what's the difference? So assistive technology is going to be a technology that's been specifically designed to help a person with a disability perform a task. So these are three examples of assistive technology. The first one is a screen reader, where it will read all the images on the screen. And then here is going to be the alt media or alt text, where it writes in Word what the picture is about. So in this example, there's two different dogs. The one is a poodle, one's a Labrador. But instead of just writing, here's a picture of a dog, it gets specific and it writes poodle or Labrador. So we're able to distinguish what type of dog it is, even without being able to see the image clearly. And the last thing is a magnifying glass. This is to zoom in to make the image a lot bigger, so you're able to see it better. So all these three different technologies are able to help people with visual impairments or visual disabilities be able to see better. So outside of technology, these are some examples of assistive devices or tools that people can use in everyday life as well. So the first one is crutches. It will help people with a physical disability be able to move around and get to where they need to go. Likewise, a scooter also would help you move around and go farther. So these would be two examples of assistive devices. So the difference between assistive technology and accessible technology is that with technology, this is designed with the needs of many different users in mind. So accessible technology is designed for everybody, right? So it's not particularly designed with anyone specific in mind. It's designed with everybody in mind. So whether you have difficulty seeing, you have difficulty hearing, or you have a learning disability, or even if you have bad Wi-Fi, or if instead of using a laptop, you're accessing it on your iPhone or on a different phone, if you're using different platforms to access it, accessible technology manages to make all the different formats be able to be readable and accessible, right? So it makes it easier for everyone to access it, whether you have a disability or no disability. So I wanted to show you something called the W3C Summary of Web Accessibility. And what W3C stands for is the World Wide Web Consortium. And this is a nonprofit organization that creates guidelines or rules for the World Wide Web. So everything you see on the internet, it's easier to read, and there's some kind of a standard format, right? So like the place where you type in the URL, it's always going to be at the top. It's not going to be in a little random corner, right? So it kind of sets guidelines for how websites are supposed to look. So these three things are very important. They say that a website should be perceivable, operable, and understandable, right? So what is perceivable? What does it mean to be perceivable, right? So in order to have perceivable web content, you have to offer different formats to view it, right? So there should be alt text, there should be video captioning, and there should be transcripts, right? To make people be able to intuitively and easily access it, that would be what it means to be perceivable. And for operable, it has to be functional, right? It has to work. The website has to be in good condition. The links have to work. The coloring should be easy to see. And then lastly, it has to be understandable. And understandable is another word for readable. So it has to be readable. The font has to be big enough to read, but not so big that it's taking over in the entire screen. So it has to be like a set standard that helps users of all levels be able to perceive, operate, and understand the technology that's being shown in front of them. So that's what accessible technology is. Outside of technology, there are other tools to make things accessible. For example, a ramp. This is going to help increase mobility. For example, people with wheelchairs, strollers, even carts or shopping carts, it makes it much more accessible just to enter the store, right? So even people that are older or have mobility issues, this would help them a lot, even if they have a disability or not. And likewise, with the parking permit, we're able to park closer and get to where you need to be faster. And it doesn't assist anyone particular with any specific disability, but it does help you get to where you need to be faster. So yes, these are two examples of accessible places or items in everyday life. So now you know the difference between accessible and assistive technology. So we're gonna have a small game time right now. And this game time is going to be called assistive or accessible. So right now in the chat, I want you all to look at the image that I'm about to show and then write down, do you think it's assistive or accessible, all right? So the first one I'm going to show has to deal with color, right? So the web page, let's say there's a red color, it's really hard to see, so it doesn't pass the test, right? It doesn't comply with the WCAG. But the black color, it's easier to read, and then it passes the test, right? So I want to note that people that have color blindness or they have difficulty seeing red and green color. So that's the most common type of visual difficulty, red and green colors. So in order to have the colors be viewable, what do you think it is? Okay, so I'm looking in the chat and I see a lot of accessible. Yeah. Okay, so the answer is accessible. So you guys are correct. This is because if we think back to what we learned about the W3C, it has to be perceivable, operable, and understandable, right? So we have to make sure all the colors, all the fonts work well with the website that we're on. So this helps everybody. It doesn't help anyone specific. It will aim to help everybody that's on the website. So good job. So now we're going to look at a screen reader. So this screen reader helps a blind person read. So everything on the screen is going to read aloud all the images on the picture. So what do you think a screen reader is? Do you think it's accessible or assistive? So go ahead and write your answers in the chat. Okay, so I'm reading a lot of assistive responses. All right, so you guys are correct. Those are really good guesses, or not guesses. You guys are on top of it. So it is assistive. So screen readers are assistive because it helps a specific person with a disability be able to read and see what's on the screen. And then for captions, this one, what do you all think? So captions, be able to see a transcript of what is on the screen. do you think it's assistive or accessible? Okay, I see accessible, accessible, and assistive. Um, and someone says accessible. All right, so this one is a little bit tricky. It's actually both, right? So the reason why captions are considered both is because one, it can help a person that isn't able to hear well be able to read what's on the screen. It can also help people that have ADHD focus on what is being said on the screen. But the other thing is that it's also accessible in the sense that it allows you to just read to follow what's on the screen. For example, I just like reading captions just because it helps me stay on track, like, oh, that's what's happening. So it's just accessible in that sense and assistive in the sense that it'll help people be able to focus. And if they're not able to hear it well, they're able to read it well. So good answers. Thanks for answering, everyone. So now that we've talked about accessible and assistive tech, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the universal design for learning, right? I'm going to talk about this principle, which states that its aim is to focus on creating products that are accessible for everybody, for all individuals. So people that have disabilities and people that don't have disabilities, both parties will benefit. So with universal design learning, there's three important principles, right? So the first one is to be able to present information in multiple different formats so that everyone can access it. So whether it's providing alternatives for visual or auditory, like captions or screen readers, that will help with multiple formats. For the second principle, it allows people the opportunity to demonstrate their learning in different ways. So let's say one person is great at writing, right? But another person isn't the best at writing. But what they are good at is creating videos, right? So let's say if we were in a classroom, the teacher would allow one student to write a paper about the topic and another student to create a video about the topic. Both ways would allow the student to demonstrate their learnings, but then they would present it in different ways. So that's allowing the flexibility to let students have alternatives. And then for the third principle, we gotta get students interested. We have to be interested and motivated in learning, right? So a way that universal design would help would be, for example, when you're teaching someone math, like a little student, you can have them play with money in order to learn math in that way, right? And then instead of just doing individual work, you can have them collaborate. So all these three principles of universal design learning come back to the conclusion of creating flexibility, multiple options and formats, and creating a sense of excitement for people to be able to learn. So that's the principles of universal design learning. So now I'm going to move into Zoom. I'm going to show you one feature that I find really important in Zoom, and that's captions, right? So to access captions, since we're all in Zoom, we can go ahead and look down. Directly down, we're going to see the Show Captions button, right? So when you click on it, you're going to see this page pop up. So usually the default language is going to be English. So if the person speaking is speaking in English, you can go ahead and press save, right? And then everything I say, there's going to be words that pop on the screen that say exactly what I'm saying. So it's going to be a transcript in English. However, if the person is speaking a different language, you can select this arrow to show more languages, right? So I'm going to press it. And then these are all of the languages that are available on Zoom that you can caption, right? So now I'm just curious because we have a really large group. We have like 87 participants. Thank you so much for being here. I want you all to write in the chat, what languages do you speak, right? So I'm gonna write, for me, I speak Vietnamese, Spanish, English. All right, I see English, Spanish, Russian, Portuguese, Tagalog. Whoa, we have so many different languages in this chat. Chinese, German. Oh, wow. Farsi. All right, that's so cool. Japanese. So as we see, we have a really diverse crowd in here tonight, or in here today, right? So I'm so happy to see all of you here. So notice that we can select on any language, right? But I want to make clear the difference between captions and subtitles. So despite us all speaking different languages, we have to select the language that the person speaking is speaking. So if the person is speaking Vietnamese, Julie đang nói tiếng Việt. So if I'm speaking in Vietnamese right now, I would select Vietnamese and press save. However, if I'm speaking in English, but you're speaking in Japanese or Spanish or German, you wouldn't select German or Spanish or Japanese. You would still select English because I'm speaking English, so the translation would be in English. I mean, not the translation, the caption would be in English. So this is not a translating tool. So I just want to make that clear. So it's just going to caption it's going to caption the language that the speaker is speaking. So right now, Julie đang nói tiếng Việt. If I'm speaking Vietnamese, I'm going to select this option. All right. So now we're going to move into accessibility features in different operating systems, Mac, Windows, and iOS, right? So let's explore. So for Mac, we're going to check out tools that will help with vision, hearing, and mobility. For example, VoiceOver, Zoom, the display, the speech, and the descriptions. And for hearing, we're going to look at captions. And for mobility, we're going to look at voice control, keyboard, and pointer control. All right, so let's go ahead and look at a Mac. So we're going to start off with vision, right? So first thing we're going to look at is the accessibility settings. So how do we get there, right? So in your Mac, we're going to press on the Apple button, click on it, go to System Preferences, click on it, and then we're going to click on the Accessibility button. So here, if you scroll down, you're going to see more options. So these are all of the options available in Mac, right? So I'm going to show you first, we're going to go over VoiceOver. So I'm going to enable it and press this button. And then this screen is going to pop up, and then we're going to press use VoiceOver. What VoiceOver is it's kind of like a screen reader where it reads everything on your screen, right? So if you click on it, it'll read everything on your screen. So I'm going to activate it. The second option is Zoom, right? So Zoom, what it does is it magnifies it and it makes things bigger, right? So the text size, if you want to make it bigger, you're going to increase it, you're going to make it a larger number. So if you want it even bigger than 60, you can make it 70 or more. And if you want it smaller, you can make it smaller. So you can not just zoom out, but you can zoom in. So the next one is going to be display. So the display, you can play with the colors and the contrast and the transparency, right? How everything looks, right? So right now we're at normal, but let's say if we were to increase it to more contrast, we can go to the maximum, and I'll show you what this looks like, right? So for the display contrast, this is what the normal view looks like. So if we increase the contrast, the colors are going to change. It's going to look like this. And then if we go all the way maximum, the color is going to look like this. So a lot of people that have color blindness, they have difficulty seeing the normal contrast view. For people with color blindness, they would commonly adjust the settings to make the contrast more contrast, right? So note that everyone sees things a bit differently, so feel free to adjust it to a setting that helps you best. But that's what the contrast does. And then the next thing on the list is speech. So you can change the speech to make it faster or slower. So this just speaks every time like a key is pressed. So if you can also select this option too. Otherwise, it'll read everything out loud. So if you want to select something specific, you can click on this button and then it'll read it out. All right, and then for descriptions, just select this if you want descriptions to be there. What it is if there's like a video, for example, on the bottom, there's going to be a little box that shows you a description of what the video is about. So that's what description is. All right, so we're going to move into the hearing portion. So the first thing I'm going to show you is captions. So these are our typical captions. There's transparent background, and then you can play around with it and see the classic and large text and then the outline text, right? So you can just choose the caption that that helps you best, right? So it'll just be here to to spell out everything that's happening on the screen, all the things that are being said. So for mobility, the mobility section, I'm going to talk about voice control. What voice control is it's a tool where you can say things into the computer and it'll type it for you. So let's say you're creating a document and you need to type an essay, right? But you don't want to type, you can use voice control to say what you want the computer to type, right? And to do that, you can first select a language so that it knows what language you're speaking, and then it'll type out all the things that you're saying into the computer. So even the URL, if you want to type www.google.com, you can type that out, and then the voice control will be able to type it out for you. For the keyboard, there are these two cool keys that I want to show you. The first one is a sticky key, and the second one is a slow key. So the sticky key, what that is it allows you to click one key at a time. So let's say you have to press Command, Shift, and F, right, for search. Instead of having to do that all at once and make your fingers like this, you can enable sticky keys and click on Command, and then Shift, and then F, right? So you can do it all at, you can do one key at a time. So that's what sticky keys are. So that helps you from not having to do that, to stretch. But what slow keys are they allow you to press and hold a key before the system accepts it. So if you like to press on a key for a longer time, slow keys would help. It would help especially if you want to click on it and it takes you a while to remove your finger. This would help if you enable slow keys. So it allows you to click at a slower pace. Okay, so for pointer control, also has to do with the keyboard. You would play keyboard and mouse. So with the pointer control, you can play with the speed of your clicks. So you can double click it, you can make it faster or slower. The spring loading delay, you can also make it long or short. And what the spring loading delay is for example, if you open a folder and you move something in the folder, the spring loading delay is just to see how long after you click it, will the folder open, right? So that's what spring loading delay is. So you can make it short, like faster, or long, or it'll take its time. So that's what these two buttons do. So feel free to play with the speed. And then, so now I'm gonna move into Windows and PC. So a quick disclaimer, I'm not a Windows user, so I don't have a Windows. I haven't, yeah, but I found a really good video that explains how to access the accessibility features and what they mean. So we're gonna go over these 5 things. Dictation is gonna be where you speak to the computer and the computer will type out exactly what you're saying. The read aloud is where there's a lot of words on the screen and the computer will read aloud what is on the screen. The immersive reader, I feel like the name doesn't represent what it does, but what immersive reader does is it allows you to change the picture on the screen. Or no, it changes the color on the screen. So for example, some people prefer a black background with white text. You're able to do that with immersive reader. And you can change it in other colors too. So later the video will show you all of this. And of course, there's going to be live subtitles. And then there's a cool tool called the accessibility checker where it checks if everything is accessible or not. So without further ado, I'm going to show you the video. This is a video on the Microsoft 365 accessibility website. So it's going to show you these 5 things. I'm going to go ahead and press play. And I'm going to turn on captions right now.
First up, we have dictate. Within premium apps, switch on dictate, and rather than typing, you can then talk to your desktop and it will start recording what you are saying, but in text form. So if you watch your screen while you're talking, you will see your desktop typing away like some kind of magic. This is just the power of dictate converting your text to speech. Let me show you how to access it. I'm using Word here, and to switch on dictate, find the Home tab along the top ribbon, and here you will find Dictate. Now, while you are connected to the internet, switch it on and chat away. This is perfect if you struggle with something like dyslexia, are unable to type, or attempting to multitask, which I'm sure we all struggle with at times. But with Microsoft 365, you can absolutely do it. Next, we have Read Aloud. With Read Aloud in Word, whatever you have written or dictated to your device, Read Aloud will read it back to you, allowing you to hear what is written. This is a great feature for those that struggle to process written text, have partial sight or blindness, or just want to check how a document sounds. You can find this in Word in the Review tab. Just click Read Aloud and listen.
This is a great feature for those that struggle to process written text, have partial sight or blindness, or just want to check how a document sounds. You can find this in Word in the Review tab. Just click Read Aloud and listen.
This can also be found in other premium apps as well as OneNote and Microsoft Edge in Windows 11. Some people have a learning accessibility need, like dyslexia for example, which can affect people's ability to process text. This means that changing the color of the page can be super helpful with processing all that is on the page. This is where Immersive Reader comes in, and it's found in the View tab of Word, or you can simply type Immersive Reader into the search bar. We can access all the tools available, such as changing the document's color, text spacing, and column width. These tools can help those who need it to consume the document in front of them. For example, the color of the page can be black text on a pink background, which may help some people, whereas white text on a black background may help others. So with all the choices at your disposal, you too may be able to utilize them to make your viewing experience more comfortable. Next up on our list of amazing accessibility features, we have live subtitles. When we talk about accessibility, we don't just mean what we help you. We are also talking about people that consume the content that you create, whether that be a document, a spreadsheet, or maybe the flyer for your next tea party. And one of the features that really helps is live subtitles in PowerPoint. Not only can you insert and have the subtitles output in any different language they select, meaning that those in other countries can consume the content as well. How amazing is that? Customize your Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 with the right configuration and components to unleash pro-level precision with the complete component pack. And coming in at number 5, it is of course the Accessibility Checker. If you want to be the accessibility master and learn the ways of accessibility, then get into the habit of checking any content you create in premium apps with Accessibility Checker. This tool is the ultimate way in showing your accessibility prowess by giving you the ability to make your Word docs, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, and emails from Outlook super accessible for all. When Accessibility Checker is activated from the ribbon in the Review tab, you have access to tools that will check your doc for bad contrast choices and suggested ways to fix them, the ability to add descriptions to pictures for those that cannot see them, and rearrange text and images so screen readers like Narrator, which is built into Windows 11, can read them. All that and many more features in all the premium apps make it look like you have been studying the art of accessibility for years. So, there you have it. 5 awesome accessibility features available as part of Microsoft 365, with so many more available to make sure no matter who you are, you can be empowered in all you set out to do. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so that's for Microsoft accessibility. So I saw a question in the chat. It said, is this only for Microsoft? So yes, this is for the Microsoft operating system. So all these 5 features, it's in that operating system. However, later near the end of the presentation, I'm going to go over the accessibility checker. This one, you can use it in more than just Microsoft Word. You can use it in like PowerPoint, OneNote. Actually, well, OneNote is Microsoft, but I'll go over this later. But essentially, these 5 things are for Microsoft 365. So great question. Is this applicable for Google? The dictate read aloud. No, I think Google, it would be a different, it would be with Google. So Google, it wouldn't, this is for Microsoft 365, but I think Google, they will have accessibility features, but that would be Google's features. Thank you. All right. I hope that answered your questions. For iOS, we're going to move into iOS right now. So if you have an iPhone or an iOS, also feel free to play along. So iOS, I'm going to show you the accessibility options, VoiceOver, live captions, magnifier, assistive touch, and maps navigation, right? So in the beginning, we're going to go to the settings of the iOS to see all of the features they have. So this is my phone screen. We're going to go ahead and click on settings, click on it, and then you're going to get this page for all of the accessibility settings on iOS. So we're going to scroll down to see everything, right? So this is all of it. In settings, to access the accessibility settings, we're going to click on accessibility. Oh, yeah, right here. So when you click on accessibility, these are all the accessibility settings, right? All of this. So we have a lot of good options, right? So I'm going to show you the first option, which is VoiceOver right here. So we're going to go over VoiceOver. We're going to go settings, accessibility, VoiceOver. So we're going to click on VoiceOver, and then we're going to turn it on, right? So once you turn on VoiceOver, that allows you and your phone, once you click on an item, it'll read what that item is. So it's actually really cool. I tested out this feature, and I encourage you to test it out. So you can change the speaking rate to make it faster or slower as well. Yeah. So to learn more about VoiceOver, you're gonna press this button to learn more. And then what it tells you is that you can use 3 fingers to scroll, right? But once you select an image or an item, you're just selecting it, right? But however, if you want to activate it, you're going to press on it 2 times, and then it'll read over what that image is or what it's saying. So that's how you use the VoiceOver command. Always 3 fingers to scroll, and then tap once to select and tap twice to activate. So that's what that means. So going into captions, there are 2 forms of captions. There's subtitles and captioning, and then there's live captions. So let me move the thing. So we're in the accessibility settings page, we're gonna scroll down, and then we're gonna click on subtitles and captioning. Right below it is live captions, but we're gonna do subtitles and captioning first. So we're gonna go in settings, accessibility, and subtitles and captioning. So when we click on that, we can go ahead and turn it on, right? We can turn both of these things on. And then what we can also do is we can play with the style once again. So once you click on it, you can click on these options. So these are other captions of what they can look like, the classic and the outline. But the fun thing about iOS is you can create a new style, right here. So if you click on create a new style, what you can do is you can change the font. You can put it in cursive if you want to, right? You can make the size bigger or smaller. You can also change the color of your captions or subtitles. You can change the color, right? You can also change how transparent it looks and how opaque it is, but these are all customizable to your liking, right? So you can have fun playing with the captions and customizing in the way that you like. And then now I'm going to show you live captioning. So this one's a little different in the sense that it captions everything that's happening at the moment, live, right? So we're going to go to settings, accessibility, and live captions. So accessibility, click on live captions. Once you click on it, we're going to turn it on. And then once you turn it on, notice that below it, there's an appearance button. You can also customize live captions. So once you click on appearance, it leads you to this page. Again, you can customize how bold it looks, the sizing and the color. And of course, you can play with the transparency as well, or how idle it is. So how long the button stays there. Then now I'm going to go over magnifier or zoom. So we're going to go to settings, accessibility, and then zoom. So this is just to make things bigger. So we're going to activate the zoom to allow you to make it bigger or smaller. And then you're going to use 3 fingers to control it, right? So a lot of these features use 3 fingers quite often. So in order to zoom in, you can tap with your 3 fingers in order to zoom in. Do it twice, tap, tap, that's to zoom in. If you drag your 3 fingers around, you can move the item around the screen. And then you can also double tap and then drag it to change how zoomed in it is. So feel free to play with this. I want to note that when I did play with this, I didn't use 3 fingers, so I couldn't move the screen. So make sure you use 3 fingers to do this. Okay, and then now I'm going to talk about assistive touch. We're going to go to settings, accessibility, and then touch, and then assistive touch. So touch, assistive touch, and then turn it on. It's on, right? And what assistive touch is once you touch one thing on the screen, it'll perform that action. So have you ever screenshotted? So if you take your phone and you usually, to screenshot, you would press these 2 buttons, right? Or if you go to like a crazy hard thing to access, you have to navigate all around. You have to click on it multiple times or press all the buttons on your phone. But with assistive touch, you can press 1 button and then it'll perform that action, right? So you turned it on. Let me show you how to customize it. So let me show you what I'm talking about right now. So we're going to click here to add buttons, right? So once you click on customize top level menu, you're led to this page. So these are the buttons that you can press once and it'll lead you there, right? So you can add more by pressing more. So let's say you want to add screenshot because you don't want to click like that. You just want to click it once and have it screenshot, right? So you can click on the device and then click screenshot option. And later when you click the button, you'll be able to screenshot. So this is what it looks like, right? So if you click on notification center, it'll lead you to the notification center. You can customize other things. But let's say you did screenshot, right? So you press screenshot, it's going to take a picture of your entire screen without you having to press the 2 side buttons. So if you press the screenshot button, I want to show you that it takes a picture of your entire screen, but it doesn't take a picture of that little black box. So the box is invisible when you screenshot it. So it'll look like this. The only reason why there's a little gray dot right here is because I was still using assistive touch. So that's why you see the little button. But the picture itself will not have the other buttons associated with it. It'll just take a screenshot. So that's what those buttons do. It just makes it quicker and you don't have to press multiple buttons. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm going to go over to Maps navigation, right? So on your iOS, how many people have used the maps? I use it on a daily basis just to get to where I'm going. Oh, yeah. Okay. So for Google Maps, we're going to click on this app. And then once you're in the app, you can click on your profile and then click on settings. And then in settings, we're going to scroll down to click on accessibility, right? Here, you can turn on these settings, and I highly recommend it because it shows you places that have accessibility, right? So it shows you wheelchair accessible places with entrances, restrooms, and parking. So this is really good for when you're trying to find places that have accessibility. So this is really good to turn on. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to use note-taking applications to help you. So the first one is Microsoft, then Otter, then Glean, right? So with Microsoft Word, I know this is going to sound very familiar, accessibility checker tool, and this is because it was mentioned in the video, right? But now I'm going to show you how you can click on it, right? Even though I didn't have a Microsoft computer, I was able to find this on their website. So with my accessibility checker, you're able to check if everything's accessible in these 4 things: Outlook email, Excel spreadsheet, PowerPoint presentation, which is what I'm doing today, and then the OneNote notebook, right? So you can make sure everything's accessible, whether it's the color, font, or if it's missing alternative text. This accessibility checker will remind you to do that. So how do you access it, right? So when you are in the application, like one of those 4 applications, they're gonna have this option to click on the review button to review everything when you're done, right? Click on it, and then you can click on check accessibility to check if it's accessible. And then here's a big note, right? When you're using Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, you can click on this lower button to see more options. So I'm gonna click on it. And then it's going to give us a list of things that we need to fix, right? So I'm going to show you the stuff that it has recommended for us to fix. So here's some warnings, right? So there's hard to read text, right? So then there's 2 slides that have hard to read text. So we click on this little arrow to see more. And then here are the recommended actions. They tell us, oh, we need to change the font color, and then we need to change the shape filling color, right? So then to fix it, we're just going to click on it, and then it'll allow us to change the color, and it'll allow us to change the shape fill. So that's how you use the accessibility checker. It'll give you a list of issues to fix, and it'll let you fix it easily. So I recommend it. And then now I'm going to go over an app that's really popular in many different schools. It's called Otter. And what Otter is it's a website or an application that allows you to record the lecture or the speaker, and then it'll transcribe it and take notes for you. So it transcribes, summarizes, and now there's a new feature where you can ask AI what was in your notes. Like, for example, if they were hiring there's like an example where you can ask AI like what they thought of something particular in the speech. But Otter AI also gives you a space to collaborate with your colleagues, right? So when you open Otter, you're gonna get this page, and then you can record, right? That's where you start recording the meeting. And then once you record, it's gonna allow you to take notes, right? So here's the button that says that you can pause the recording. Then, let me move the picture really quick. Then this button is to stop the recording. Right here is to highlight. So you can see that it can highlight. It will look like this. You can highlight the words, right? And then here, this button is to add a comment. So you can add comments. And then this one is an action item. So let's say you're working with a coworker, and then you want to let them know, hey, can you do this task, right? Then you can assign it to them. You can choose the assignee and assign them the action item. And then lastly, you can add an image. So all of these will show up in your notes. You can create comments, action items, highlight things, and add images. So it's really customizable. So the next app and the last app that I'm going to go over is Glean. This is actually my favorite application. Where I work, I go over this application with students on a daily basis. So I'm going to show you what Glean is. What Glean is it's a program or a website where you can record the lecture and you can take notes as well. So if you're in a meeting, you can record the lecture and take your own notes. So to start off, we're gonna press on new event, and then it's gonna lead you to this page, right? Over here is gonna be your notes that you can type in. And then over here is going to be the audio that is being recorded, everything the teacher or the speaker is saying, right? So to start off, we're going to press this little red dot to start recording, right? And then there's two options. There's in person and then there's remote. So let's say your meeting is in person, you're going to record everything the speaker is saying, right? But let's say your meeting is through Zoom or online, then you have two options, screen audio. So it records everything on your screen, the audio. Or the second one is it records all the audio on your screen plus your voice, so everything you're saying to it. So those are the three options, right? So we're gonna select one of the options depending on where we are, and then it's gonna lead us to this page, right? So here, I took some notes, but I wanna show you what they are. So we know that it's recording because we see these little air bubbles right here. That's when we know it's recording. We also see the time ticker. So right now we're 1 minute and 45 seconds into the recording. So it's recording, right? But let's say now we're gonna start typing notes. So down here, I'm gonna type in fact number 1. So every time I type a note, you're gonna see a little gray dot right here and right here. So it's time stamped and linked. So your notes and the audio is linked, right? So I'm gonna do it again. If I type in fact number 2, you're gonna get the little gray dot here and here to mark that's where the note is taking place. So now I'm gonna show you these 3 buttons, heading, important, and review. What heading is it makes your word bigger and it separates it into a new section. So this is really good for when the teacher moves on to another chapter or another topic. So if I click on heading and click on chapter 2, I type that out, it's gonna make the word bigger, like right here, and it separates it. These 2 buttons, if you click on important and you type something, it does a similar thing as a gray dot, except it has a little icon to remind you that it's important, or it has a little icon to remind you it's something you need to review. So these buttons are optional. If you go back to just typing and you don't click on these buttons, it's gonna give you the little gray dot like before. So these are your notes. So that's what these 3 buttons do and how you can write notes. So next to it, all the way here, there's a little button right here. What does that look like? Go ahead and type it in the chat, what you think that button looks like. Like a flash. Yeah, it looks like a little flash. Lightning bolt. A hazard, a comment, thunder. Yeah, so this button is like a lightning bolt because it makes everything much faster, right? So it goes into lightning mode. And what lightning mode is it turns the box, or it allows you to mark heading, important, and review without adding text. So let's say the speaker is talking too fast, so you don't have time to type. You could just click on these 3 buttons, and then later at the end of the lecture or the end of the speech, you can type in these notes later. But just by clicking on it, it saves your spot to remind you where it is. So let's go ahead and get out of lightning mode, right? I'll show you these 3 buttons now. The first one I'm going to show you is a photo. So if you have a picture from your computer, you can import a picture from your computer, but if you don't have a picture, you can Google search it. So right now, everyone, what is an image in your head that you can think of right now? Go ahead and type it in the chat. Any picture that comes to mind. What are you thinking of right now? A bee, a cat, dog, sunset, shark cage, cookie, mountain of knowledge, Oski bear, right? So these are all great, interesting thoughts. Right now, I'm gonna choose the image of cat. So the funny thing is, whenever I do these tutorials to students, the most common answer I get is cat, right? Everyone's thinking of a cat. So I'm gonna go ahead and type cat to search up an image. So it gives us all of these options, right? So we're gonna select an image that we like. I'm gonna select this one because I think it's really cute. When you have this, if you want to zoom in, we're going to press on the magnifying glass with the plus button to zoom in, right? And then next to it, there's these 3 dots. It allows you to delete the image. And then up here, there's these 2 parallel lines. It allows you to move this picture up or down to rearrange your notes in the way that you see best. But for now, I'm going to show you the definition, the next thing. Definition it'll give you a Google definition. So I'm going to keep it consistent. I'm going to type cat, and then automatically it gives you a definition of cat right here, right? And then you can press show more to see more, and then you can press show less to save space, right? So the last thing is post task. If we click on it, we can add a task, right? So what this does is it sets a reminder, a task for you to complete by a certain date. So I'm gonna put cat paper, I'm gonna say it's due on Thursday, right? I'm gonna select that due date and I'm gonna press enter, and it's right here to remind you. So this is a really good reminder. If you're done, you can check mark it, but if not, you could leave it, right? And then I'll show you where this is on the home page. So now I'm going to show you how to pause and stop. So up here, we're going to pause the recording if we need to. And then when we want to resume, we just press the same button again. And then when we want to stop the recording, we're going to press this button. So now the lecture is over, right? So we stop the recording, we have our notes, we have the audio. What I'm going to do is I'm going to name the event. So I'm going to name the title of the thing we just recorded. So I'm going to name it Cat with Blue and Green Eyes, right? And then I like to recommend everyone to press transcribe audio, which is this button right here. It turns all of the audio that you recorded, all the speakers, what they said, into text. So it's going to transcribe, right? While that's loading, I'm going to show you another feature. What does this button look like? So since we're short on time, I'm just going to answer. It looks like a piece of paper, right? So once we click on the piece of paper, it's going to turn all of your notes into a piece of paper, right? If you like how this looks, you can print it. You can click on this button to print it. Or if you want to add in a few words, delete words, highlight things, make things bigger, smaller, you want to edit it more, you can press this button, copy, and then you can paste it in a Google Doc or Word document to edit it further. Or of course, you can copy and paste to edit it. But that's what this page is about, copy and print. So next is, what does this button look like? So everyone go ahead and type in the chat what you think this button looks like. A sun, yes. So it is a sun, brightness, sun. So once you click on this, it's gonna turn everything to dark mode. So this really helps if you have eye strain or you wanna turn it into dark mode. So to get out of it, we're gonna press on the moon, back to light mode. Yay, right? So that's what this page is about. Now, the transcript's done loading, so I'm gonna show you that it looks like this. So it converted all of the audio into text, so that's awesome, right? So now I'm gonna show you the sound settings. You can click right here, play with the playback speed. You can make it faster or slower, right? 2 times speed, make it go super fast, or 0.05, make it go super slow, right? So down here, these settings are already preset, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you want to play around with it, you can change the high pitch filter to change the pitch. You can use noise cancellation if your background is too loud. And you can do click reduction to change the sound of your mouse being clicked. But you don't usually have to worry about these because they're preset, but just play around with the speed. So with the speed, you can slow it down, right? You can slow it down and you can write notes. So remember when we did lightning mode, everything was too fast, so you didn't have time to take notes. Now you can type in your notes now that it's slowing down. And also the great thing is that the transcript, you can also double check and cross check to see if what you're hearing is what it's saying. So you can type down your notes here. Also, you can add in additional notes. So earlier you already took notes, you can continue to add in additional notes. You can also erase notes, right? So that's the beauty of this. You can customize your notes in the way that best suits you. But I like the speed feature for lightning mode and just adding in additional notes. So up next is the home page. I'm going to show you these last few things. So there's 3 things that I want to show you. We created the event, we have the date we created, but what we don't have yet is the collection, right? So the collection you can see here, and what the collection is it's a folder for you to add all of your notes into. So let's say you're taking math, English, science, classes, but let's say you're having different meetings with different coworkers. You can name the collection anything that you want to organize it into. Like it's basically a folder. So for our cat lecture, I'm gonna put it in animals just because it has to do with animals. But for everyone, you're gonna have to press on new collection to create a new folder because you won't have created this yet. But since I've already created animals, I'm going to select animals for the cat with blue and green eyes. And then next, I'm going to show you tasks. So remember earlier, I said we had a cat paper due. So it shows up right here to remind you that it's due, right? So this is good, especially if you have a lot of deadlines. It saves it all in one spot to remind you. Lastly is the search bar. We can search keywords, for example, cat, and you'll be able to find all of your notes that mention the word cat, right? So that's what it would look like. So that's essentially how you use Glean. So I've showed you all these 4 buttons, how to record. And basically that's all, folks. Thanks for being with me. I know we covered a lot, but feel free to contact me or email me if you have any questions. Add me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect. I hope this resonated with you all. But yeah, thank you so much.